last time on the Paranormal Portal.
We woke up hearing the levers going at night, and we could hear muffled sounds in the closet, sounding like, and we sat there listening to, and we're like, they're playing with our toys. It looked like a ball of energy that was the size of maybe a tether ball, or maybe smaller than a soccer ball, but.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got an epic show ahead, but just remember, if any of you have experiences you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. You can either email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com or head over to paranormalportal.net and scroll down and find the button that says Interview Me, and that'll allow you to look at a calendar of possible times and dates and find a date that works for you. Love to hear your stories, so definitely get in touch with me. Hey everybody, this episode of the Paranormal Portal Podcast is a continuation of our interview with Barry from Western New York, who joined us on our last episode and had so much to share. We needed to spread this out over 2 episodes. Sorry for my voice. Got some kind of chest thing going on, so we're going to continue our discussion with Barry from Western New York as he brings us further along his incredible journey. So if you haven't listened to the last episode, please go back and listen to the episode, which is season 5, episode 15, part 1. It looked like a ball of energy, Barry from Western New York. So listen to that if you haven't already, and then check out this conclusion of our interview with Barry from Western New York. It's a pretty incredible journey. All right, there we go. So where are we going now?
Well, we were talking about my dad, and I think I'd like to tell you about a visitation after he died. When he came, he knew I was grieving. I was grieving terribly, and I've had several dreams about family members who visit me on the other side, and they're not just your normal dream. They always seem very special, and sometimes I wake up and I'll have tears of joy come just flowing out of my eyes, just going, oh my gosh, I just had a visitation from my aunt, or I saw my old friend who passed away. And actually, interestingly, and I can tell you this, that I saw a friend of mine, he's passed away, visit me twice. And
nice.
In recent times, I thought about his elderly mother out of nowhere, just kind of popped in my mind. Oh my gosh, I wonder what's going on with her. And I had sent her a message, because when I have had these dreams, I feel like I almost am obligated to share with the other loved ones that they were trying to reach out and let them know that they're okay. And it's an awkward thing to go, do I contact this woman to tell them, or do I tell so-and-so that their mom came to see me? They'd be like, why did they come to see you? Probably because it's easier to get through to me, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But I had sent her a message, text her message about a dream that her son visited me. And she never got that message. But then I tried to call her to check on her. She's an elderly woman, and she got back, but when she saw the text message, which was several months old at that point, and she goes, it's really interesting timing that you contacted me today. And I'm like, why is that? She says, well, and the day that I thought of her and tried to contact her, she got my message a day later. She says that her son's ashes were delivered to her from his wife, who was widowed, and then I think she was getting remarried. So she delivered his ashes to his mother the day that I thought of her, and then she saw the message that I wrote. So these things just happen. But
Sure.
Getting back to my dad, after my dad died, it's time's been going by here. He died in 2015, and I was pretty distraught, and I couldn't sleep. And I went out on the couch and was laying down on the couch, and I did fall asleep. And I was having, after the time that my dad died, I was having some night terrors as well. And I think sometimes when you're really down, you open up to negative things as well. Maybe, sure. I don't know, but I had a few very frightening dreams, and I was trying not to keep my wife awake while I was not sleeping well. So I came out to the couch, and I fell asleep, and I had a vision of my father, and my dad came, and he was, I got the impression that he was trying to console me, I guess. But my father had a very strange sense of humor, which is where I get mine from, I guess. And my son gets it from me. And the weirdest part is that when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I saw Dad. But then I was like, but he was wearing a Viking helmet. And then I was like, why would my dad be wearing a Viking helmet?
Right.
Well, this is where this story gets interesting. Jokingly, for years, we called my dad William the Viking. And that's because my family are Swedes. Oh. And so my father, William the Viking, that was he was a big burly guy, and he could grow a big thick beard, unlike me. Yeah, William the Viking. And I was like, of course, Dad would do something like that. He's just trying to cheer me up and make and he did put a smile on my face. I was like, oh my God, that is incredible, And I just thought, yeah, that's something he would do. But I thought it was really odd at the same token. But I was still grieving, and I hadn't even gone to my father's funeral yet. He lived in a different state. The funeral hadn't happened, so this was only a day. He had been sick with lung cancer, and it was only right after he had passed away that that I had this vision or dream of him, I guess, if you will. But I wanted to see a psychic because there was a lot of paranormal stuff going on. Not only was I working in a place that had paranormal things going on, then I was having some night terrors, and then I saw this vision of my dad, and I just tried to find a psychic person in the area. And this guy claims that he calls out people who are fakes. And so I thought, well, let me try this guy out. And I went to his home, and I sat down, and he actually said things that came out of my father's mouth. And then he said to me, he goes, there's something weird here. I see your dad. He goes, but I don't understand this. This is really odd, but he's wearing a Viking helmet. Do you know what that means? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's my dad being funny. He goes, it's not even a nice one, though. It's like a cheap Viking helmet. I was like, I don't understand. I said, yeah, we're Swedish. And I said, my dad, we used to call him William the Viking because he was a big, strong, burly guy and, Swedish. And I guess I said, he's just playing joke. He's trying to cheer me up, I think. And he's like, well, it's really interesting. And he got into some other details about family dynamics and actually specifically told me what state my dad lived in, which was really interesting, and knew the dynamics of our family and stuff. And he goes, you're going to run into some interesting things when you go up to your dad's funeral. And I don't want to get into family stuff too much. But it was very fascinating. He goes, and your dad, you would say things like, your dad really likes your car. And my dad would say that to him. He goes, I really love that car. I'm like, oh thanks, Dad, But I was like, well, that could be a generic thing that he could say. But he did have specific things. And of course, the Viking helmet was really bizarre.
Yeah. That's
so
really cool.
I went to go up to my dad's funeral. And after the funeral, this was a difficult time for all of us. And I went to my stepmom into my dad's house, and my stepmother pulled out a photo album, and we were kind of going through this photo album, and eventually I come upon a photograph of my father wearing a Viking helmet. I had never seen this picture before. He was on a little trip, on a vacation trip or something. He put this helmet on, I guess, or whatever. And there's this photograph of William the Viking. I took a picture of it with my phone, I still have it, and I see it, and I just go, "Oh, Dad, here they're up there, skull, have a toast with, but just an incredible story that felt it was him trying to just console my pain, I guess."
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. I wish everybody could have those experiences because of course, mourning is such a painful process for us, but just one visit like that could mean the world, just one moment, something that.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of people I would love to hear from, are you okay? Where are you? Are you out there somewhere? Yeah. They don't have the ability to come through or I missed something or whatever. Sure. I don't know. Or, who knows how this stuff works, but
right. Yeah.
Certain select people have visited me through the years. I remember the first time I can recall that my great grandfather, who was an incredible artist, and I looked up to him, but he died when I was like 13 years old, and in my 20s, he came to me and he was giving me words of encouragement and kind of thing, and cool. I was just surprised by that, but I was trying to tell people. I remembered him sitting in a lawn chair with the 1960s woven stuff in the aluminum, like I could just imagine him but he very specifically had a little brief conversation with, and I remember trying to tell other family members. They're like, "Yeah, okay, you're crazy," but no, Grandpa came, but as long as I know, I don't need to prove it to anybody. Right. I mean, there's no way to prove those things. I don't think.
No, probably not.
But when it happens to you,
Yeah, exactly. When the times that I've met loved ones in the dream that have passed away, the dreams are so powerful, and they're just more real than real. It's hard to explain, and that seems really arbitrary, I suppose, for anybody listening, but. It's like you are experiencing something incredibly profound, and so that's fantastic, and I think it's really neat that you've had those experiences. I wish everybody could have them to see the people that they miss and that that they ache for once again, because it's just such a powerful moment.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and it is a blessing, and it makes certainly gives me. For all the negative things that I've experienced, those positive things make it worthwhile, really. Yeah. Because just opens up your mind to going, it's all real. There's another realm there, and you will, I do believe you're going to see your loved ones on the other side when the time comes. So
yeah, exactly.
It's encouraging.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Very cool. I'm really thrilled that you shared that, because, well, for me, it hits home as well. Having had a similar experience, that's very powerful.
Exactly. Well, you want me to talk about a ghost story again?
Absolutely. That's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my wife and I bought our first home, and we were really excited because we had lived in apartments. We were struggling. I'm an artist, and it was not an easy go. We lived in apartments through the years, and we did live in a little condo at one point that we were renting. We didn't own it, but we had a dream to own our own home. And we would spend our weekends going out neighborhood to neighborhood, looking around and with this dream. And we went to the bank, and the bank's like, "Well, this is how much we would give you." It was like, wasn't much. So back in those days. Sure. And so it limited what we were able to do and get. And we looked at a bunch of places, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this place would need a wrecking crew." And we would be months out, and we didn't have the money to live in two places or have two places and try to go through so much stuff, So we came upon a home, and I was like, I should have listened to my wife. It's surprisingly, I'm like, this place is perfect for us. She's like, I don't know. I get a funny feeling. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'm more wound up paying attention to all I need to do is put some paint and some tile down in a couple rooms, and we're good to go. I mean, and the other places were like, drop ceilings and the shag rug from the 1970s, and would have had to gut the place, and it just would have been impossible to live in there and do all that work, and we just didn't have the money to do that. So, I mean, we're talking about a 2-bedroom, 1-bath little box, concrete box of a house, and it was built in the 1940s. So, but we were at the banks, everything got approved, and we were at the closing of the deal, and they got the stack of papers, and I'm initialing everything and going along. And the old lady that was selling the house, just as I was ready to sign the last thing, goes, "Oh, by the way, if you see a ghost, it's my mother-in-law, and her name is Ivy."
Wow.
Now, I looked at the realtors on both sides of the table's jaws dropped, and they were just literally, you could have heard a pin drop. It's just, and a normal person would have got up and went, "Wait a minute, what's going on? We're out of here," But no, not me. I don't know why. I didn't ask a single question. But we had gone through months and trying to search for a place, and finally got this place, and and I don't know why. I should have been like, "Lady, sorry, the deal is off," is what I should have done. But instead, I went and signed the papers, didn't say a single word, and we drove away, and my wife started punching me in the arm, going, "We bought a haunted house," And I said, "I didn't think you believed in that stuff, I'm like, that lady's crazy. I said, "She must be getting senile or something." I said, "Don't worry about it, But later we saw in the paperwork that the old lady did die in the house.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And but I did not want to deal with that. I was hoping that there wasn't anything wrong. I didn't want to live in a haunted house. I did that already.
Yeah.
I did not want to live in a haunted house, and I didn't want my wife to be frightened. So, I was trying to downplay everything. But of course, as soon as we move in and I start futzing around and doing stuff like tiling rooms and stuff, weird things start happening. And I'm trying to think of a logical answer. I remember I've got a level out. Like, why is it that the shampoo bottle that's on a flat surface over they were in the middle of the night dropping down and hitting the tub, just kaboom, and
Sure.
I would go in there, I'd be like, "There's no soap, it's dry up here, I got a level, I'm like, it's flat here, it's not even like, how in the world?" And I had cats, but I'm like, they're not going up. There's no way they could get up it was just those kind of things.
Yeah.
Stuff that would go missing that, there's only the two of us at that time. So she'd be like, "What did you do with where's the keys at?" or something. I'm like, and I have ADD. I'm like, "I don't know. Did I lose?" So it was kind of like mind games, these weird little things missing.
Sure.
They would go missing, and then they would show up somewhere else oddly, kind of thing. And you're like sitting there trying to figure it out, like, what is going on here?
Right.
Well, then things got much, much crazier for us. We actually were in bed one night, and we heard terrible crashing and banging going on in the attic, which is a tiny little attic. It's not like you could stand up in this attic or anything. It was a little crawl space attic in this little house. And but kaboom, boom, boom, right over our heads. And we're like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" And I'm like, there must be a raccoon up there or something. What could possibly be making that kind of noise, And it was kind of terrified us, really. I mean, it was like, "Oh crap, what in the world?" And I went outside looking around the house. I'm like, I see no place where a large animal could get in here. And I'm like, even if I can't even imagine it could be a rat. but I had to stick my head up through the, little ceiling hole, thinking a rabid raccoon's going to jump, or a possum or something's going to jump on my head or something,
God. Yeah.
And I got the flashlight and I'm let a ladder out and I'm pop my head up. I'm looking around and I see nothing, but I just couldn't understand it.
Could you see things were thrown around up there, or did it
Well,
just?
that's the thing, is I couldn't see anything up there.
Okay.
There was nothing up there,
Sure.
that we
Yeah.
didn't even have an air conditioning unit in that house at that time.
Okay.
There was a window air conditioner. We eventually put an air conditioning company, so there wasn't even duct work up there. It was
Okay.
so it was just you could pretty much see all around it. I saw nothing there that I noticed.
Okay.
But
Well, the reason I ask is because I've certainly covered so many encounter stories of people where they'll hear like things are exploding in the kitchen, the glass is breaking and stuff. They go and get up and go look, and everything's fine. It's like it's an auditory phenomena, for whatever reason. So very interesting.
It was loud. It seemed like things were banging, crashing and banging over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
And we were really confused. I think I even may have gone outside to look on the roof, and say, well, what's happening? But and then it happened again. So I had gotten up on the roof of my house, matter of fact, and inspected and tried to fill in any possible little cracking crevice that anything could have gotten into,
Right.
At that time.
Mm-hmm.
But when the noises happened again, we called the trapper. And the guy comes and he's like, I don't see any signs of him. I'm like, dude, there's something pretty big up there. He's like, well, I see some old, poop from, looks like maybe mice poop or something at one point in time, or whatever. I had bird poop or something.
Sure.
The house was from the 1940s, maybe something. But he says, I don't see anything. But he's like, well, all right, I'll leave it. I'll put a trap up there and put some bait in it. Because we were adamant, there's something getting in there, but how, I couldn't figure that one out for the life of me either. But he appeased us and put the trap in there.
Oh, okay.
And while the trap's there, nothing. He comes back a week later to get his trap. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Probably like, crazy people. As soon as he takes his trap back, kaboom, boom, boom again. We call again. Same guy shows up. He goes, you guys again? Yeah, it's us guys,
Mm-hmm.
And, it was embarrassing. It was like, and he goes and puts the trap up there again with some more bait, and nothing ever happened from that. One day I came home from work, and this is so bizarre. I can't even, just, if I heard somebody telling this story, I'd be like, I don't know. I came home and the bathroom sink was ripped off of the wall. Now,
oh my God,
I thought maybe our house got broken into,
right?
But no, nobody had been in our house. And then I was like, how could, even if a cat jumped up on the sink, how could it possibly, I could not, I tried every possible way to, figure out a way this could have happened by itself. And I just couldn't. I mean, thank God that our house didn't get flooded,
Right.
But there's this sink hanging there off of the wall. And, I don't want to say the word haunted. I am trying to downplay this stuff in front of my wife, but I'm like, oh my God, I bought a haunted house, and but I'm like, what is happening here? This is so bizarre. And, I started just so many little things like that were going on. And, one of the things that happened, I used to work on the weekends quietly, working on illustration work. My wife worked on Saturdays, and the house was perfectly quiet. And I was sitting there working, and I heard my Siamese cat talking, starts chatting. And I thought, what is Heidi doing? Normally, she only does that if you're paying attention to her and you're scratching your chin and talking to her or something, where she would, where that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's odd. So I got up to kind of go see what was going on. And she was in the little second bedroom, which was a guest bedroom at that time. And while I looked in, and she was sitting in the corner of the bed, looking up into the center of the room and just chatting away. And I walked in, and I walked right into a cold spot, and all the hair stood up on end. And I went, oh, okay, I'll leave you two alone. I backed up out of there, and I turned around and I went, oh my God, this place is haunted by an old lady kind of thing. And she's paying attention to my cat, and they seem to get along okay, but I was weirded out. I thought, she can't stand me, but she loves my cat. Okay, because I don't know what is, I guess, it was just one of those things that I wish that we had a rule in the house. We could not mention her name, and we didn't want to talk about it in the house. We had to leave the house to talk about it because we didn't want to stir things up, because she had a temper,
Clearly, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but I had a brother-in-law they came to stay in this tiny little house, and he was a cocky guy. He's like, so where's your ghost? And we're like, shut up. Well, Mr. Tough Guy, the next day after the first night staying there, he's like, says he saw an old lady in the kitchen, and he wanted to leave early from his trip there. So I'm like, oh, Mr. Bust on me, but here you all said now Mr. Tough Guy thinks he saw something. And then I didn't know if he was teasing me or not, but I realized that he wasn't, that he really genuinely was frightened.
Wow.
And my wife and I ended up seeing her. We had a full apparition, basically. Although the funny part is, my wife, she would go, "What you saw was different than what I saw." I'm like, "What? Wait, we saw the same. We saw something at the same time." And what happened was, it was at night, and we were in bed, and I heard my wife. She actually, I think, woke up hearing my cat again talking to something. I think that's what woke her. But when she opened her eyes, our bedroom was on the back wall, and the door to the entrance of the bedroom was in front of us. And the bathroom light, there was just enough light coming through this small little bathroom window, to where she could see a silhouette of somebody standing in the doorway. And I heard her go, "Who is that? What do you want? Who is that?" And I woke up to that, and I saw the figure standing in the doorway. And at that point, it floated across the room towards my side of the bed. And so it went from a dark silhouette kind of a thing to where it was the room was light enough from the street lights outside that you could see all the furniture and everything in the room. Mm-hmm. But this thing kind of made its way over. We're both laying in bed, and it came over near me, and it stood over me, looking down at me.
Wow.
And I could just make out blurry images of, where eye sockets might have been in a mouth. And I could see it looked like the form of a woman, or, I don't know. There was not a lot of details, but it was definitely an apparition, and it was standing there looking at me, and then it vaporized. I had a sleep disorder after that. I had really major problem falling asleep. First of all, now confirmation, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, great. We live in this tiny little house. There's this grumpy old lady that's dead that doesn't want us there. I feel like there's no privacy. We have no privacy as a young couple. Like what? We got an old lady standing over there watching everything you do. That's kind of awkward, I mean, it messes with your mind. It really does.
Sure.
And you feel like you can't openly talk about it. Well, the next day after we saw this thing, the funny part was my wife went back to sleep. I don't know how she could have done that. She rolls over and falls asleep, and I'm awake the rest of the night, freaked out. And I had to get up in the morning and go to work. But we didn't say anything to each other. And then I went to work, and I was like, oh, my God, I saw a ghost, man. This, you know. And I wanted to tell somebody so badly, but, it's just kind of when we got home that night, I'm like, okay, what happened? She goes, I don't know. You tell me what happened. I'm like, we saw a ghost. And she's like, what did you see? Kind of thing.
Sure.
I was like, oh, I saw something in the doorway and it floated across. And she's like, yeah, that's what I saw. And she's a no nonsense person. I'm the wacky guy. She's a serious side for the most part. She takes care of all the important stuff. And I just go and earn money, and she takes care of her. But she when she acknowledged that, I was like, this is the real deal. This is happening here. And there were times when we lived there where it was quiet. She got used to us or something, and things did quiet down for us. But in the beginning, it really was pretty volatile, and it was very kind of frightening that she did not want to share that space with us at all. And, it's kind of a weird thing. I looked up the legalities of telling people. I'm like, you tell somebody, because when we sold the house, I mean, the property was in a very nice area. I mean, for us buying a little cheap house, it was a good area. But, I was like, well, what if it only affects me because these things come to me, and when somebody else could live there and not have anything. Right. And so, I don't know, it's just one of those things. We lived there 5 years, putting up with that stuff. And like I say, sometimes things could be quiet and everything would be okay. And every once in a while, you just walk into a cold spot in the house or hear the cat chattering, and you're like, okay, she's hanging out with my cat right now.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
So,
I think that's neat.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Because oftentimes you hear that pets get terrorized, they just get, targeted in some cases, but it was neat that at least the cat was peaceful with whatever's going on.
Now, I did see a reaction from another one that we had. She was a kitten, and actually my wife was in the bedroom and she was watching television, and I hear her calling me, and she goes, something weird's going on. And I got up to go see what was happening, and I walked into the house was so small, the hallway was very small. I walked in and I walked right into the cold spot, and I looked in the bedroom, and the kitten was standing there with all hairs standing straight out, staring right at the direction of the doorway where the old lady, I believe, was standing in the doorway again. And I came up from the back side of her and walked right into the cold spot again. And so I did see a shocked cat, looking very fearful. But for whatever reason, the others, a couple of them didn't seem phased. I mean, I know we're crazy cat people. So I got to quit saving these little critters. But the Siamese, who is very smart cat, she seemed to have a relationship with this thing. So
that's fantastic.
Got me.
Yeah, I mean, because the animals can't really defend themselves. They can obviously sense this stuff way before we do. But when they're targeted, how do you protect them? Really, I mean, other than getting a full exorcism or banishment from a house, they may be tormented. But it's neat that for the most part, it seemed pretty peaceful with the animal part of it, which I think is wonderful.
think I'll include one more disturbing aspect of something that we found out about the attic.
Sure, please.
Which it's so disturbing that I go, oh. But when we were having the central air put in, we had some guys climbing around up in the attic. I was at work and my wife was home, and they cut a hole in the ceiling, and he goes, "Hey, I found something up here." And my wife's like, "What?" And he says, "This was way in the back of the corner of the attic," and he hands her a VHS tape.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. This is a horror movie, right?
Yeah.
This is a horror movie. And so she was like, "Oh, why would there be a VHS tape way in the corner, thrown in the corner of the attic?"
Right.
This house. Now, apparently, this house had been rented out a number of times.
Okay.
And the lady who sold it to us knew that there was some kind of a haunting going on, apparently, obviously, because she told us. But that's really all that we knew. And so after the guys that were working on the air conditioning left, my wife stuck the tape in. And unfortunately, I didn't really want to look at this, but there was a person who had at one time rented the place, filmed himself pleasuring himself in the middle of my living room, and
oh, gross!
It was very disturbing. Yeah, it was like, we need to get this house cleansed of
yeah.
but like, no wonder the old lady was
she was not happy.
All this crazy negatives, whatever was going on. It was just. Yeah, I know that was disturbing. Sorry, but
no, it's fine. I mean,
it made us want to take a shower and scrub that house. We get the Mr. Clean out and scrub that house down after that. But it's bizarre, but that's the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth of that story.
And actually, I mean, it's I think important to mention things like that too, even though they're not the most comfortable things to hear. They do show that whatever's going on is intelligent and aware, and really does object to, things like that. And so that definitely would be a trigger for that activity. And maybe she knew that was up there and wanted it out of her house, So
well, that's what made me think the same thing. I thought maybe that's what we were hearing crashing and, around in there. Who knows? But
right.
It's certainly, when that happened, even though we were absolutely disgusted and freaked out by the whole thing, it made us go, wow, maybe she is trying to, who knows, tell us something or I don't know. But
well, I think
it is interesting.
If it was very objectionable to her, in person, in life, then it would still be objectionable because, oftentimes we think of these spirits as somehow transitioning to a different awareness, but they're just us without skin. I mean, so if there's things you hate in your life, you're not going to like them much in the afterlife either, So,
right. So yes. And I'm sure that this, apparently this woman, she had a lot of memories in that home, and moved in there when it was brand new place after the war or whatever. I'm just imagining this person's and then they die in their sleep or whatever, and maybe they're attached to the place so much from memories, or they're just not aware of the fact that they're dead, or however that works. And then all of a sudden people are coming into their place.
Yes, exactly.
And, so here we are, a young couple. Now, we fixed the place up really nice, and we kept it retro from that era and stuff. We made it very nice. But I think when you stir stuff up, I've heard this from other, listening stuff. When you come in and start changing things, it ruffles things up as well. So we may have, gone in there gangbusters. Let's get some paint on the walls and this and that. And, that may have helped to stir up some of the stuff. But I think she wanted that thing in the attic out.
Yep. Yeah, maybe that was her throwing that thing around trying to get it out of the house.
It's bizarre,
right?
But I wanted it out of the house. That's for dang sure. And I made sure it went in the trash can right away. But I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah, no doubt. That's
be gone.
Crazy. Be gone. Absolutely.
Be gone.
So you guys had it for 5 years, and by the time you moved out, was it pretty peaceful there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I there was a I there was some worry. I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, what if you know? But part of me was like glad. Okay, I don't want to live in a place where there's an old lady, dead old lady still.
Sure. Yeah.
She seemed like she was at peace with us,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did not bringing the subject up. I thought of, but I was like, look, this person could live there and never have a problem ever. Who
Yeah.
knows? Or,
Yeah.
but at least I think all the crazy stuff ended, and then there were little things,
Mm-hmm.
indications like communication with cats stuff, but there's no banging stuff. There's no
Right.
ripped things out of the walls or none of all that stuff we had to endure.
Yeah.
And she probably didn't want if she had creepy people living in there prior to that. She probably did not want anybody else in that house and
Right.
protested. I
Yeah.
guess.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. And that's cool. I mean, I think probably if we all could see perfectly clear the spirits in every form around us, we would basically poop ourselves. I think
Correct.
we are living in a world of spirit. We just are largely unaware of it, and maybe largely the spirits are unaware of us. Because we just kind of occupy maybe a different vibrational state. But I think there is some that are kind of in between, and they just can still take part in our world, and maybe if they get mad or get upset or maybe through actions and violence and stuff get pulled out of that part of their vibration and they become part of our world. And you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but this is just a theory I have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sure does make you wonder about all these things. I
Yeah.
know one thing after seeing the apparition right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really had sleep issues. I mean, I would keep wait. I was terrified I was going to wake up and see something standing over me. And
Oh, yeah.
of course, as a child, my siblings and my sister said this to me. I said, "What do you remember?" She goes, "I remember laying there in a silent scream," and I do remember
Mm-hmm.
being in that situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're laying there in a silent scream. I remember thinking, "Pretend you're dead. Just lay here and
Yeah.
pretend you're dead,"
Oh, my
knowing
gosh.
that there's an apparition standing there right over you, and you're
Oof.
afraid to open your eyes because you don't know what you might see,
Right.
and yet it's there. You can hear it coming. You can hear it creaking. The door. All of a
Mm.
sudden you know that it's right there, and that's a terrifying feeling,
Oh,
and
gosh. Yeah.
and seeing a dead old lady standing next to me, but the funny part is my wife's like, I don't remember seeing all those details. I'm like, we both saw something. Let's just at least come to that agreement,
Sure.
right? We same time you saw something, I saw something, right?
Well,
Just I said, but it came over to my side, so I got a different point of view of it. And it was
sure.
closer to me,
Right.
and then I'm like, how in the world you went to bed after that? Fell asleep after that? It's beyond me. I can't figure that one out.
Well, it also doesn't surprise me that you saw a lot of the detail and she didn't, because you're an artist. You look at the world through the eye of the way things look. And so I'm sure your eyes are just trained to grab details and such. So, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know anything about your wife. She may be as well. And if that's the case, then I'm absolutely off base. But, a lot of people just look and, oh, there's that. But someone like you, who's an artist, you see things for what makes up that thing, how does it look? And so I think
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense to me.
Well, and from her perspective, she saw, the silhouette in the door with
Sure.
the light direct on where I was off to the side a
Yeah.
bit. And then when it came into the room, you've got other objects there, and the lighting was,
Mm.
again, I could see something coming floating in my direction. Once it got near
Jeez.
me, I mean, I could just
Oh,
see this. I mean, you're in shock.
yeah.
You're like, what's happening?
Hmm.
Um, and it felt like eternity for it, but it was probably only there for a matter of seconds.
Sure.
But I did get a very good close up look at this thing looking down at me,
Wow.
and it scared the crap out of me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was frightened to go to sleep at night. I would stay up late, like dreading having to go to bed. Especially after some of the crazy things that were going on. Well, about she can pull a sink off the wall. Well, I mean, what else could happen here?
Right.
But thank goodness things calmed down, and I'm grateful for that. So we survived it, but I'm glad that when we moved into our other home, everything was quiet.
Good. Yeah, good. Well, speaking of grateful, Barry, I'm absolutely thrilled that we've had this opportunity to have the discussion, and I'd love to have you back. I know you still got a lot more ground to cover. Unfortunately, I don't have any more time, but I just want to thank you for reaching out to me and for being willing to come in and share your stories. I know not only for me and because I like listening to them, but I know our listeners are going to love hearing your experiences and probably will inspire a lot more people to come forward.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Felt good to get some of that off my chest, and, hopefully somebody listening to this will say, hey, wow, something like that happened to me too. And, or I could come out and tell my story because, this guy did. So Amen. I appreciate it. And I would love to come back for sure.
Absolutely. We'll figure out when that can happen and we'll set that up. But thank you again, and I hope you have a great day, brother.
All right, you take care.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for us today. So hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thank you again so much for all your love and support. And remember, if you want to follow the Paranormal Portal, probably the easiest way is to head over to paranormalportal.net. And that's the homepage for the Paranormal Portal. And you'll find links to all of our different social media and sites and information about the shows, including our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/paranormalportal. Or just look for Paranormal Portal on Google or whatever search engine, and you'll find links to our social media, such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. So we're kind of all over the place, and we're spreading as well as we can. But anyway, thank you so much for the love and support. Y'all take care, and remember, we love y'all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Until next time.